Jess, thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of Let's Start Back from the Beginning. And
Sure.
for our audience who don't quite know exactly what you do with your YouTube channel, do you mind explaining it to them real quick?
Sure. I have a YouTube channel where I'm reviewing every Disney movie ever made. I started in 2016. I'm in the 600s now, coming close to 700. And a lot of people say there are that many Disney movies. Yes, there are. There are more than that. um, and I pretty much just review them. I put out 2 videos a week. Sometimes I vlog. It's a good time.
Right. I know for a fact that I was definitely one of the people. It's like there's that many movies, but then I shouldn't be surprised because they've been around for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's take it all the way back to the beginning. How did this initial YouTube idea started? What manifested this?
So I went to film school. That's where we met. And I always felt that art didn't have to be like depressing to be beautiful and moving. Um, and I always felt very connected to Disney movies, especially like I feel like they hit a certain point, like starting Frozen and after every single Disney animated movie that came out made me cry. And I was like, how are they doing this? I'm an adult. Like, what is going on? So I was like, I would love to be able to tell stories like that and just put that kind of art into the world. And so I kind of started focusing on that. And then when I was in Los Angeles doing my internship, I decided what better way to fully know how to make a Disney movie than to just watch them all. And so I just started compiling my list. It is color coded, it is really long, it is an Excel spreadsheet. Like, it is extensive. And I was spending days creating this list. And my mom goes, well, why don't you document your process on YouTube? Like, document your progress, do what you're like, show what you're doing on YouTube. And I was like, wow, that's such a fabulous idea. And I had tried like doing you. I think everyone coming up in our generation tried doing some kind of like YouTube thing or social media thing when they were a teenager or early young adult or whatever. But I was like, oh, that's like kind of a fun idea, like, and it'll hold me accountable to keep watching the movies. And so I was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. So in August of 2016, I filmed my first video and put it out, and the rest is history. That's kind of how I got started.
Do you remember what the first video was?
Oh yeah. My first video, very different than now. My process is very different. My first video, I think I covered 5 movies. So it would have been the Academy Award review that had a bunch. It was like a shorts compilation. Snow
Mm-hmm.
White. I know it was like Dumbo and Pinocchio, and I think maybe Fantasia. I think those were the first 5.
Okay. Do you remember what that feeling was like when you uploaded that first video?
Um, I'd say I was just excited. I don't think I expected, you know, to be doing it for almost 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just went into it like, I'm going to do this. I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited I have a purpose outside of my internship and my editing, the documentary I was editing at the time. It was keeping me busy. I remember like finishing it and being excited and thinking it was funny and being like, I hope people like it. But I don't remember like me actually hitting like publish. Like, I don't remember. I know the day because we celebrate it every year on my channel, but
Okay. Yeah, that's really awesome. So after that first video went up, the videos that you did after, what kind of influence did that have? How did you build the habit of, I guess, getting started with like just making sure you're progressively uploading, or was it very difficult when you started out?
it was difficult when I started out because I had in my head that like I couldn't do a video for each movie. I wanted to do multiple movies for each video. So I didn't have a consistent schedule when I first started. I think for my first 3 to 5 videos, I didn't have a consistent schedule. It was just when I finally watched however many movies. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have a schedule planned before I started doing it. I just was like, I want to watch all of them, and I'm going to start from the beginning, and we'll see where it goes. So from August until the end of November, I did like 3 to 5 videos where I covered more than one movie. I think one of them I even covered 10. And I'm not really, at this point, it's not like an actual review.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting down and talking about the movie. I'm making like funny comments about the movie, and it's very quick and whatever. And one of them, I think I even like mixed in some Disney trivia I did just to like have some more content. And then that December, I decided to do Vlogmas, which is where you vlog the 25 days of Christmas. And so I did that, and during that I was kind of like, maybe I do a movie, a video. Maybe that will actually be easier than doing because in order to do a video I was having to watch like 5 movies, where like instead I could watch one movie and have a video. So I decided I think I was going to do that. And then I was like, well, with how many movies I've already done, starting in January, the first week of January, if I released 2 videos a week all the way up until August, I would hit my 100 mark by doing like a week straight of celebration, whatever. I'd hit the 100 mark, and then I could do 100 a year. And I was like, and that's kind of fun, and that's much more of a schedule. So that's kind of just how that happened. I went from, I want to do multiple movies in a video, and I'm gonna like make funny comments, and they're not going to be true reviews, whatever, this, that, and the other, to me being like, well, maybe it's actually makes more sense to do one movie for one video, one movie for one video, one movie for one video. And if I do that, I can do like 100 a year, and then we're looking at like a consistent schedule for a long time. And at this point my list was like 800 movies, so I knew if I did 100 by then, like by December of 2016, I knew if I did 100 movies a year, I was in it for 8 years if I was going to like do the whole thing, at least, because I knew as I was going, Disney was going to keep releasing movies. So really it was probably going to be like 9+ years of work. And I was like, well, let's do it. So I kind of came up with that schedule. And then because I do Vlogmas during December, that gives me the 7 videos to do like a week celebration of videos straight at the end of August, which gets me to the 100 mark every time. So that's kind of where that came from.
Wow. So with the Vlogmas, and you said that was something you had to keep on top of every single day, right?
Yeah. Vlogmas is a marathon. It's crazy.
How did that go? Like, have you done that every year? Or
I have done that every year since my first year. And it has been harder the past 2 years because now I have like a consistent part-time job. So when I first did it, a friend of mine suggested it. I don't know if you know him. He went to film school with us. I can shout him out. Alex Stewart.
Alex, that name sounds familiar enough, but I'm pretty sure once I go looking around social media and I see a face, I'll be like, oh, this person.
Yeah. He actually was like, hey, you should do Vlogmas. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Okay. And at that point, I don't even have a vlog camera. Like, I was doing Vlogmas off of my phone. And so day one started, and I was the person at the time where I was like, I want day one to be day one. Like, I don't want to do the whole November 30th is day one, right? Yeah. I was very much like, you're going to see what I did today at 11 p.m. tonight when I finish editing. Like, I was that person. I was like, we're doing it. So I did all the way up until 2021. I would film the day, edit it, put it out, film the day, edit it, put it out, film the day, edit it, put it out, film the day, edit it, for 25 days. Wow. In December. And part of it, like, I go through these like, oh my gosh, I'm so boring today. I don't have content. I don't have content. But then I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Like, I'm a person. I'm a normal person. I'm not going to be doing something super exciting every day. But when I did have the freedom, when I was just doing YouTube, I had the freedom to kind of be doing more like fun, exciting things than like work and then only have time to do fun, exciting things on certain days. And then in 2021, I had like this part-time job that is now I've like, okay, there's no feasible way I can film the day, edit it, and get it out and be like to bed at an appropriate hour to wake up at 6 a.m. for my normal job. So I now do film the day beforehand. Starting in 2021, I filmed the day beforehand and put it out from the day beforehand and then put it out the next day.
Okay. And because you're always editing back to back during that point, how long did it take you to kind of get used to the tools you were using to edit? And would you say that you've learned a lot during that Vlogmas?
Oh, totally. So in film school, when I first arrived, the program that they wanted you to get on the MacBook they asked you to buy was Final Cut at a student discount because it was a one-time purchase. And in school, you learned Final Cut and Avid. Now I'm sure people are learning Premiere Pro because it's much more up and coming, the industry standard. I have fiddled around in Premiere Pro, but I was always like, it's a subscription. I have this that I bought eons ago. I'm just going to use it. And it's a one-time purchase. So I've used Final Cut since. And I have definitely learned so much over the last 7 years of editing Vlogmas and Disney videos. I definitely still have a lot to learn. It's always when, I have a random idea and I go, oh, I wonder if I could do that. How would I do that? And I Google it and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. And I'll go and learn how to do it. And then it might become like a regular thing. But like, I would say the biggest thing that I've learned, which is so silly, is keyboard shortcuts. What a dream.
Those get everybody. I know, at least when it comes to like me with development, right? I'm always using all these shortcuts and people are just like, wait, how are you shifting things so fast? And it's like, once you learn the shortcuts, you're off and running.
It's like insane. I used Avid after college to edit a documentary and I knew those shortcuts as well. Some of the times they like can be semi-universal, and in some editing programs you can choose to pick a different program's keyboard layout if you're used to that. And I still will learn new shortcuts in Final Cut and be like, game changer. Something that's taken me 30 seconds is now going to be taking me 5. Like,
yeah,
I'm constantly like, oh, I'm speeding this up. Like, I edited a video before this, and it took me 45 minutes because it was a really short one. And I finished it. I was like, right on. We love that.
Without the shortcuts, if you were to have to manually go through and kind of do everything, how long would that 45 minutes would have been?
Oh, hours, probably. I don't even, I think I would have to relearn how to do it manually. Because I don't know how to put something into the timeline without a shortcut. I'm like, there's a button somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's almost amazing how some of these shortcuts actually let us, it gives us the ability to forget stuff and bring in completely different new knowledge, which is amazing. But on the other hand, when we have to go back to do things manually, it's like,
oh my gosh,
how do I do this again?
I don't even know how I would make a selection in the footage I want without the I and O buttons. What? They would take me hours because I'd have to be relearning how to do it manually.
Yeah, that's very the thing that I like about like all the different industries is just the vast amounts of tools there are, and then once somebody gets really good at something, and they have to remove like shortcuts being a prime example. Like not too long ago, someone was asking me to explain something to them with the interface, and it's like, wait, I've always used it this way. I don't know if I can really start you there. Just press these buttons and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think one of the most recent things I learned, which by recent I mean like a year or 2 years ago, I learned how to copy and paste effects, not just like whatever the effects specifically. I think that took my edit time from like, if it was like it took me 2 hours, it took me down to like an hour and 15 minutes. Like it literally, being able to copy and paste the effect was a game changer.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know you could do stuff like that. So, yeah, to that extent too, as I would, of course, I would imagine that as you're doing more of these videos and learning all these different techniques and skills, I would imagine that editing each day sometimes is vastly different for you depending on what it is that you're editing, right?
Oh, yeah. My Disney videos are pretty formulaic, and that's like a whole like mental struggle I deal with. I would like for them to be more things that I picture in my head, but I don't have the time. And that's a whole thing that comes into play is like I don't have the time to do and edit sometimes that I want because I have another job and, family commitments and whatever else. So my Disney videos are pretty similar in the way I edit them, or at least the way I go into editing them. The process is the same. I lay down, a rough cut, and then I go in and I trim and make sure everything looks nice. And then I lay down the screenshots and the pictures of the people and like whatever else. So like all of that it's pretty much the same step by step process, but sometimes a video will have like a funny little thing I do or whatever like that. Vlogs, those are different every time. It's, I'll have filmed it and then I'll look at the footage and be like, oh, that's kind of fun. I want to do this idea. And I do that in a different way. And then in the past, I've edited, music videos and short films and a documentary and all that kind of stuff. And all of those are so different because it's collaborative and, how I approach it.
Okay. And I know you mentioned you're balancing things with a job as well. How how does that how did you manage to actually find that balance between working a regular job and then going to back home to edit your videos? Was it a struggle when you initially started out? How did you work up to finding that balance?
I think sheer force of will. um I think I still can sometimes struggle with the balance. I think when I first started my like actual, I've always had like I had my internship, I had my editing my documentary, and then when I moved back here, I had some freelance work, and then I had like a part-time photography gig which was mostly weekends, so it didn't affect my Monday through Friday, which I have a very strict schedule for my YouTube Monday through Friday. And then I got this job that I work at now in 2021, and it was a much bigger time commitment than all the other previous part-time freelance whatever I had been doing. And I just do it. I when I first started there, it's a part-time job, but I was working 35 hours or more a week at that job. And Monday and Tuesdays would be my heaviest days because Monday is the day I watch the Disney movies, and I always watch 2 a week. So I'd come home from work, eat lunch, and then watch 2 Disney movies. So it was like, here's my 6.5 hours at work, and then I come home and watch 4 hours of movies. So it's a 10-ish hour workday, I guess. And then Tuesday, I film. So I film in the morning, and the length of that really depends on what I have to say about the movie. So I'd film that, and then I go to work. And when I first started at this job, it was 6.5 hours. So I'd film in the morning and then go to a 6.5 hour shift. And then Wednesday through Friday, I edit. And if I finish editing before Friday, then I'll do bonus things like Patreon stuff or future things or whatever I might have to do. And balancing it is a challenge, especially when I also maybe want to take a nap or
Yeah, I can
see
understand that
friends
struggle.
or help family or whatever. So it can be a really big struggle. But the company I work for is family owned, and it's been a huge blessing. This year we decided, like as a group of people, to close in the middle of the day, so my shifts don't have to be 6.5 hours. My shifts can now be like 4 or a little
Okay.
over 4, and that has helped a lot. That has been a nice blessing in helping me with the balance. But my friends like to make a joke that the second that job has let up a little bit, I'm gonna give myself more Disney work. It's like, oh, I have an hour and a half. Oh, well, guess what? Now I'm gonna be doing this. Like, anytime I'll start to message my friend, she goes, "Let me guess, you're gonna give yourself more work?" And I'm like, Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe I
That's
am.
See, that's the curse and the blessing of kind of enjoying what you're doing, because then it's like on one hand everyone's like you're doing more work, and on the other hand it's like I want to do this. This is exciting, and then you're just like
Right.
spending
Right.
hours just doing it.
Right. Exactly.
Now, with all of the editing and the publishing, has there ever been moments where you had to post off of schedule? And if there were, how how did it affect yourself mentally? Was it one of those situations where you're kind of talking yourself down because you miss a schedule, or have you
Mm.
developed some sort of like a mechanism that's more understanding towards what it is that you're doing?
Um. So I've definitely missed posting. I literally just did. I posted on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook that a video came out, but I forgot to freaking hit like public this past Friday. So on Monday I went in to post my new video and saw the previous video still said unlisted, and I was like, "Wow, you big dummy." So like I've done that. I've like forgotten to just switch it from unlisted to public. But as far as like getting behind schedule, I believe I have. However, I am like the videos I made this week don't come out for like 4 or 5 weeks.
Okay.
I like give myself a huge cushion. I haven't always given myself that huge cushion. I used to I used to definitely be making like next week's videos the week before. Um but then I would like plan. So in 2018 when I was going to be moving back here, I made like a month and a half's worth, I can't speak, of videos in like I filmed 10 videos in one day, I think. And this is before I had the format I have now, but it was still, you can like see if you look at them, it's like if you look at the thumbnails of all of them, it's like daytime, 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 starts to get a little darker, starts to get a little darker. Okay, only lit by the stuff in her house. Um and I think doing that triggered the idea of like, oh, maybe I should try to like book out stuff as far as possible. I think I did get off schedule um one time, and I like posted and was like, hey guys, like I wasn't feeling well and this, that, and the other thing, and everyone was totally fine with it. And I made up, like I posted more than one, I think the following 2 weeks or something, to get me back into like, I'm gonna still be able to get to 100 or whatever. But otherwise, because I do the 4 or 5 weeks out cushion, anytime I've like potentially gone on vacation or gotten sick, it's YouTube will never know about it because,
Yeah,
or
you're
they'll
able to
know
rest
about
at
it
that point.
4 weeks later when I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I was sick.
And to everybody else, it's like, wait, you were sick? We did not know this in your video. It's like, that's movie magic.
Yeah, you were watching me 4 weeks in the past.
Yeah, so with the with the creation of the YouTube channel, like once you started uploading all of these more on a scheduled basis, was is the subscriber count and the view count something that you actively paid attention to at all?
um, so the subscriber count I did pay attention to. And, you know, I was excited. I would celebrate anytime we hit like a big milestone or whatever. I didn't super pay attention to the view count, actually. Uh, and I've slowly stopped paying attention to both because sometimes they send me into a downward spiral. So I
Yeah.
have to like remind myself I'm more doing, like, first and foremost, I'm doing it for me. I've always been doing it for me. I love it. It's very fun. It has been such an experience. It's like an education in film history, but through one studio. It's been so fun to see the studio's like ups and downs, stuff like that. But then, as much as I'll be like, no one's watching, when I'm having a downward spiral, I have to remind myself that like that's not true. Even if it's like 4 people, I've had these 4 people that aren't my family watching since the beginning, and they would be so sad if I decided to give up. And I'm like, these 4 people are my people. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go.
It's
So
amazing once you get that small group of supporters.
yeah, and I did have a video. So also, I had an interesting circumstance where I had a video of my friends go viral because they were performing at a masquerade at a convention, and I had filmed it on my camera and posted it to my YouTube before I started my YouTube project, and that video went kind of viral and has millions of views. And so I was like getting subscribers through the Disney stuff, but also still getting subscribers from that like viral video. So it was like really hard to see like who was for what. And like
Yeah.
I'm really sorry, I'm not gonna post Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Guys, that's a restaurant. Five Nights at Freddy's, content. I've never played the game. I was just recording my friends, and they won, so it was like a whole thing. So like I had that going, and it's super exciting for them. Obviously, you love it. Like, oh my gosh. But then I had the Disney stuff, so it was like, am I pulling in subscribers for the Disney content, or is it only the Five Nights, viral video that I'm pulling subscribers for? But I knew I was getting watchers because I was getting people commenting on the Disney videos. So I was like, okay, like I'm getting people.
Yep.
And then further down the road, I take a brand and marketing course, and it's basically, all this kind of stuff. So I did end up marking anything, including the Five Nights video, but I had a bunch of videos on my channel also before the Disney stuff. I had, stuff I made in school. I had stuff of me and friends and stuff like that, that I ended up unlisting and marking private. So then everything on my channel is just the Disney stuff and the vlogging. And that has shown like the subscriber count true colors, I feel like.
Yeah. One of the reasons why I asked too, because I know I've seen and heard actually many people who are using YouTube as like either their part-time career or their full-time career always mention that the moment you start paying attention to any sort of the subscriber or the view counts, you start going into a depression loop. And that's one of the reasons why I asked, wanted to see if that was something that was relatable to you, which it sounds like it is initially, but it also sounds like you're actually not paying attention to it anymore either.
Yeah, I mean, like YouTube, when you go to your like creator studio, your subscriber number, is right there, and it's like -12 in the last 10 days, and you're like, sweet. So it's not like I don't see it. Obviously, I see it, but I have to like, and I'm not gonna say I don't ever look at it. Of course I do. Like, it's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
And I do like I've always been bad about looking at the views, like the view count on my video. Like I'll be like, oh yeah, that's been out a while. How many views does it? Maybe I should.
It's only 15 million. It's fine.
No, it's like always. I'm like, oh, 70. Okay, it's about what I look at every time. But I do like. I try now. I make an active like effort to be like, who cares? Like I'm not gonna care about it, because the more I care about it, the more I'm gonna be like, I don't want to do this because it doesn't seem fruitful or that I'm succeeding or whatever, when it really just meant like, do I like doing it? Yes. Am I gonna give up now that I'm close to 700? No, I'm so close to the end. Why would I give up? I'm over halfway.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I might as well see it to the frackin' end.
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't care if I have the views or the subscribers, because at this point I'm like, I'm like, I have 980 movies on my list right now, and I'm at almost 700, which means your girl is catching up.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the dang thing. I'm stubborn.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to be sometimes, and
Yeah.
you're right around the corner from there. And the really awesome bit about this is, if you do end up like stopping once you hit that milestone, you will forever going to be that big part of YouTube history at that point.
I know. Well, what's crazy is like, my favorite part of this journey by far and away is when other people, I have multiple, but when other people come and say, I'm also doing this, and I didn't even know there were these movies, or other people be like, I'm also doing this, and I think you missed this movie. I'm also doing that. Like I have a woman and her daughter in Australia who watch. I just almost called this little girl 6 years old, but I'm pretty sure she was 6 years old like 3 years ago. So she's got to be growing up. And like the mom would message me and be like, we watch a movie and then we watch your review. And it's like become such a tradition that we're excited to go to Disneyland and like all this kind of stuff. Like it's stuff like that I'm like, ugh, worth it. Like it has made so worth it. Like even if it's like, 10 people worth it. And then I'll have people who have reached out and been like, my dad was on the set of this movie and thought it was like such a big deal that they were doing a movie about, you know, Alaskan heritage and all this kind of stuff. I can't believe you found it and watched it. Like, can you put me in contact with someone who could get it for me? Like, you know, it's such a community of these like Disney movies that no one knows about, you know, like all these like miscellaneous hidden gem Disney movies that people are like, oh my gosh, I remember that. And it has a really important meaning to me and my family. Thanks for reviewing it. And you're like, thank you. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
and
that
then
sounds
just the
incredible.
people who are willing, like I have one of my greatest friends in the world now I met because of this, and he has found I have what's called unwatchables. It's movies that I couldn't
Okay.
find online, couldn't find through people, couldn't find anywhere. I think it had gotten up to like close to like 50 movies. He has found every single one of them but one.
Wow, that's impressive.
He like came to me and he was like, it is my mission. And I was like, awesome, great, I love that for me. And he, like, the lengths he went to, it's like he would find out that someone in London, you know, like, or like somewhere in England has the movie on VHS, and he's in contact with them seeing if they'd be willing to digitize it and send it over. Like, it's insane. And the fact that people like this tiny little YouTube channel where I'm just reviewing movies, people are like, yes, I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, okay, amazing.
That's awesome. Now,
So
talking a little
those are
bit,
the parts for me that I'm like, go ahead,
that brings up
sorry.
good too. No, that's absolutely fine. It's one of the questions was gonna be exactly just what are some of the moments that really highlighted this YouTube stuff, and it seems like you just answered all of that honestly. So on
Yeah,
on the reversal, were were there moments when you were running your channel where you felt like giving up, and how did you work through that to get yourself back on track?
sure. Of course. I've been doing it for 7 years. There's no way I'm not gonna have moments where I'm like, you know what? That's it, I'm done. I've definitely had those moments for sure. I've had, and it's been for different reasons always. I sometimes the same, but like, you know, I've had many different reasons. I've had reasons where I'm like, you know what, it just feels like I'm unsuccessful. My subscriber count isn't climbing. My views aren't climbing. Like, why do I even do this? No one's watching. I should give up. That's a, you know, classic. That's a typical, right? But then I've had, I'm almost 30 years old. I should get a real job. You know, I'm like a disappointment to my family, which is not true, obviously, but you know, the intrusive thoughts win sometimes. And so I've had multiple times. I think it's always a cycle, and it's always when I'm like overtired or feel like I'm in some kind of creative burnout, um, or when I'm feeling like I want to do something and I feel like I can't because I don't have the time or don't have the means or the help or whatever. And that'll send me into like I bet I would have the subscribers and the views if I could only do this and had the time, or, you know, whatever else. So I absolutely have had those moments. Some have been stronger than others. Yes, there is a video on my channel called Sometimes I Feel Like Giving Up that Tony has seen.
Yeah.
And I am crying in the video because I was stressed and at the time was feeling very much like, why, like, I'm not going to give up, but sometimes I feel like I'm too far in it, that if I gave up, people would be like, why? But okay, she gave up when she was so close to the end, and like all this, even though that wouldn't matter. If I decided today to stop, that's fine. Like, I decided today to stop then. You know, like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what other people think if I decide to do that. But I also want to finish it because I'm so close.
Yeah.
But I think it's always either a discussion. It can either be a discussion with my family where I'm feeling very discouraged. I want to give up, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know, we support you no matter what you decide. It can sometimes be that, but most of the time I feel like it's just me being like reminding myself that that's not what it's about. You enjoy doing it, just keep going, and you'll have an upswing again, which is always true.
Hmm.
And so I like to call it my Disney YouTube roller coaster. It's like I'm like sometimes I'm like, ooh no, I hate it and I should stop. And other times I'm like, no, I have this idea, we're going. Like I have this idea, I'm excited, we're gonna conquer it. Is it gonna work me to death? Yes, but it'll be so fun.
Risk versus
You know,
reward.
like already like yes, in January, I had an idea for Celebration Month, and I was like, that's an insane idea. But now it won't leave my head, and I'm going to have to do it. And it's going to be so much work, like the most work I think I've ever done for Celebration Month. And I have a part time job. So it's going to be.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So with
I don't know
all
if I
with
answered the
that too,
question,
you did.
but
And the
okay,
other thing
great.
too is you mentioned your family a little bit. How much of a active role do they have in kind of helping you keep going with the YouTube stuff?
Sure. So my entire family is incredible. I think my vlogmases are as entertaining as they are because of my family. I've got my little munchkins, I've got all my cousins, I've got my aunts, my parents, my brother, you know, everyone who's totally fine being on camera, me filming them at a family gathering. Like everybody is supportive. And to the point where like I have multiple family members always watching my videos and friends that are always watching my videos when they totally don't have to, you know? I'm like,
Hmm.
you don't have to watch that. That's all right. You know. um they're a constant pillar and constant support. They are my sounding boards. My brother, like if I get an idea, it's my best friend Bree and my brother that are probably the first to hear them. I run into my brother's room and I'm like, I got an idea. And he's like, okay. And I'll tell him it. And he goes, interesting. What about this? And I go, oh my God. You know, like I'll be like, that's an excellent idea. So then I'll run back and I'll be like, Bree, I got this idea, but then Eric said this. And then Bree will be like, oh my God. You know, like they're my constant sounding boards. And then my mom, my studio where I film is in her house. So she's about as involved as it can get. I'm there every Tuesday at the bare minimum filming. And I'm like, hi, mom. You know, thanks for letting me. And then, you know, they'll be in videos if I want them to be. You know, my brother, I'll be every year. Like, my brother doesn't ask to be in videos. Every year I go, okay, I need a guest for the week of guests. Which video do you want? And I'll give him a list of the movies. And my brother's like, ooh, I want this one. And I'm like, okay, great. And then my mom, who hates to be on camera, I will force her to be in one too. And by force, I mean, Mom, will you come in this video? She'll go, yeah, because she loves me so much. And then my dad, he loves, my dad's a ham. He was like a radio disc jockey. Like he likes to be in front of the camera and perform and everything. So anytime I want him to contribute anything, please, he asks me to vlog. Like he's coming to visit for 5 weeks and he's like, we're vlogging, right? Like you're gonna vlog the whole thing. Like, okay, Dad, I'll vlog the whole time you're here. That's great. So they're all super supportive. I couldn't like ask for a better family and friend group if I tried. Like, couldn't get it again.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Sometimes really having that support circle does a tremendous amount of job, and people don't even realize that sometimes too. But yeah, that's really awesome.
Oh, I would have quit if I didn't have my friends and family supporting me the way I did. I absolutely would have never gotten as far as I have doing it.
Yeah, so with all of the knowledge that you have now as well, if you were to go back in time to the younger version of yourself who just started this YouTube channel, what is the most important thing you would tell yourself?
Oh my god. Um
I know you have a list, but you only get one.
honestly, I think it would be something along the lines of like just have fun. Just focus on having fun with it. Or like side by side, like don't worry about the numbers. Just have fun. which sounds very like cliche and like but like honestly, if I could have just like focused and not cared about the numbers, I feel like I would have had less downs. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely. And I've gone through some of that myself too. It's the moment the moment you start having fun with everything, you stop treating it like a job. And I feel like even the word job has a very heavy burden on it. It's a lot of the times now too. I feel like whenever somebody hears job, it's the burden of, this needs to get done. I have to get this done versus I want to go
Mm,
have fun. This is my job.
sure. Sure. Well, I also have like I feel like always run into people not looking at it like a job and almost not taking it seriously, which was something I like dealt with for a long time. Like people would be like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I'd be like, "Oh, well, I'm, still doing the YouTube channel." And they'd be like, "Oh, well, yeah." And they like brush it off. And I'd be like, "I don't
Yeah.
think you understand. Like I definitely am putting in 40 hours a week for this. Like I watch 2 movies, I film them, and then I edit the rest of the week. And if I somehow miraculously have finished my edits, I'm working on other things, Patreon, whatever it might be. Like when I'm not at my normal job, I'm doing this like that, like." And so I would get frustrated when people would like think it's not work, and I'd be like, "I'm having fun, yes, and I enjoy doing it, yes, but like I'm it's work."
Yeah, all of the movies you have to watch leading up to everything else you're putting together. It's a job within itself.
It's a time commitment for sure, and
Yeah.
I would just get like frustrated when people would like dismiss it as like, not important. When I'm like, "Excuse me? I have spent so long working on these things. Don't dismiss it."
Yeah. How do you deal with that type of conversations when it come up?
For the most part, it's not like in such a way the person's being so disrespectful or whatever and like trying to argue with me. They'll like, maybe brush it off, and when I go, "Oh, well, like I it's like 40 hours a week that I do that." It's like, I think it clicks and the people are like, "Oh, oh, like I didn't realize, it was that much work or that you were working that much on it per week or whatever." I think now that I've been doing it for close to 7
Hmm.
years, people don't have that reaction anymore. Now when I tell people about it and they go, "Oh, well, how many have you watched?" They can't even, once I say 660, it's like any question about it being a job is gone because they're like 660. They're like, "How are there that many Disney movies?" And then I like to
Right.
follow it up with, "Well, there's 900 on my list." So,
That's honestly a great follow up. And I think the other neat thing too, right, is nowadays, especially in the current generation and how times are changing as well. Anyone who mentions, "Oh, I'm doing YouTube," I feel like that's more accepting now than what it was back then when we were in college, where it's just like, "You sure you want to go into YouTube?" And now it's like, "Oh, you're on YouTube. That's great. What type of things are you doing?" I find that often than not,
mm,
people are asking more questions if you bring up any form of social media than what it was back then.
yeah. I definitely hear that, but I also think with it becoming a more and more like, I don't want to say reachable thing because it definitely isn't.
Hmm.
Like the people who are living their life off of YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever social media platform, they make it look like it was so easy, when it's really a huge part of it is luck. And another huge part of it is kind of understanding and saturating the market, I'd say, like, which I don't have experience in. I'm so bad about posting on social media about my videos. That's like something I'm trying to work on, to grow, because my goal is to grow the channel. Of course I want to grow the channel.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to fully focus on the channel, but at the same time I want to make sure I'm always having fun. But I just need to work on posting more. And
I
I do think it's, a lot of people who not there are so many great people on social media doing awesome things, whatever. But then there are, the few that are like, "Oh my god, I can't. No, please don't associate me with that person because I also do YouTube."
Yeah. There's
Like, I don't want to be associated with Jake and Logan Paul. I'm all right.
yeah.
No
I think the
thanks.
word we're kind of also looking for too is social media is just a lot more accessible now than what it
Yeah.
was back then,
Yeah.
and the problems that we have now too are vastly different as well. Because everyone thinks it's easy to post a video. On one hand, yeah, it's super easy to post a video, but it's super hard to post a good video.
Right. And it's a hard place to be. You need to have a thick skin or a really great support system, because even my tiny little cute YouTube channel, I get some nasty comments. They're not common, but I've got nasty comments. I also get beautiful comments and just run of the mill comments. But it's a hard thing to do, and I would never in a million years want a child to be doing it. I can't imagine. And I would want it to be someone, who is an adult and is ready for that kind of onslaught of attention, because it will be negative and positive.
Yeah, I don't think there's once something is online, there's no way to attract only one or the other, and that's the unfortunate truth about being so connected to everything, because everyone is so used to hiding behind that digital persona that they feel like they have the need to say whatever it is they want at somebody else's expense.
Exactly, exactly. So I think it's a mixed bag, having
Yeah,
like a YouTube channel or being a social media creator or anything like that. I think it's a mixed bag. I think it has like obviously amazing qualities, but then there are things that it's like, okay, well, welcome to the world, I guess.
yeah. All right, it's more of okay. I think I'm done with the internet for today. I'm gonna go outside and enjoy some air.
Honestly, honestly.
Great. Well, I guess that this is actually good for today's episode then. And before we stop here, one of the things I do like to do is give the interviewee a chance to kind of talk about anything that's upcoming that they're working on, kind of a shameless plug. So if there's anything you want to tell the audience that's going to be listening and watching this, what it is
Okay.
do you want to say?
Sure, thanks. I mean, check me out if you like Disney movies. I would, subscribe, I guess. It's your life, do what you want. Um, but upcoming, I mean, I don't know when this is coming out, but always I've got 2 reviews a week. I also am finally editing my vlogs from visiting my dad in Costa Rica, so those are going to be coming out. And who doesn't want to see a tropical Costa Rican vacation? So I'd say go check all of that out.
Awesome. And for anybody else that's wondering where to get these links, I'll have them in the description. So, Jess, I'll reach out to you just to confirm those links when this video goes live.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was awesome.